It's, the Jews don't stop. Purim, we're right back the next morning. I was davening this morning, just packed. Minions. Davening, you think everyone's probably schluffing, right? After Purim. Nobody sleeps. A Yid wants to get up first thing in the morning and come to davening early, Leibedik. Even though my kids' schools didn't start till 10:30, because the Rebbes are also schluffing. But they're not, because we got calls early in the morning about details. It says on Motzi Yom Kippur, there's a halacha, you should daven earlier. You ever notice that? That if you look at the davening times, the day after Yom Kippur, here in Yeshiva we daven 7:40. So you'll notice the day after Yom Kippur, minyan is 7:35. It says you should daven earlier. So some minyanim is 7:39, but like 1 minute earlier. Why? Because after 40 days of Elul and Aseres Yemei Tshuva and Slichus and Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, you might think, I'm done. Okay, first day of break, sleep-in day. Exactly the next morning when you're done, you mamish show Hashem. It wasn't just to get through Yom Kippur. I'm transformed, I'm changed. And even though there's no halacha per se, that on the day after Purim you should wake up earlier, it's pashut. It's so pashut you don't need a halacha, because what is a Jew going to do after Yom Kippur, after Purim? All the more so he wants to get out. That's why the guys have told me, there were some things that happened in the dorms and looked like Chad made his way through here. So you see, that's the difference. When Chad comes through the dorms, he's not getting up early for davening. But when a Yid mamish drinks like Itchy Mai, I think he slept. He's just been up. He hasn't gone to bed. Yeah. It's just, they don't sleep. The tzaddikim mamish don't sleep. They're so high on life, they can't sleep. There's a big inyan by the tzaddikim, they can't sleep. They only sleep a little bit because that's an inyan if they go and learn Torah up in Shemayim. They go up to heaven to learn more Torah. Torah that they wouldn't be able to do unless they went to sleep. So I guess it's been 48 hours, I guess I should just, I need some of the Shemayim Torah, so I guess I'll go to bed for a little bit. Rebbe Nachman slept 3 hours a day. Not at the same time. 1 hour, another hour, and another hour. The tzaddikim, they're so alive. That's why Davka, we get a little bit of this in Adar, because Adar, the mazals, the fish, the constellation of Adar. Every month has a constellation, right? Who knows what next month the constellation of Nisan is? The Shepsula, the sheep. The Shepsula, which was the god of the Egyptians, that we shecht, and we eat it, Korban Pesach style. But the mazel of Adar is the fish. Because it says the fish never close their eyes. You ever seen a fish sleeping? With his eyes open. Kind of spooky. Fish always have their eyes open. Because they're always alive in Avodas Hashem. They're always eyes open. They're not schluffing. They always have their eyes open. L'chavit mamish. The few minutes we have, I just want to tell you a story of Rebbe Nachman, and then tomorrow I want to begin a piece on Pesach, because we're crazy, we don't stop. The second Purim's over, so Pesach, let's go. Pesach, we're starting a Haggadah in the Rosh Hashiva Shir, and we're going to begin a piece from Rebbe Nachman on Pesach. We can't stop. We can't stop. Because now Pesach is coming, and it says in the first halach in Pesach, the Shloshim Yom Koydem HaChag, 30 days before Pesach, you have to start learning about Pesach. There's so many halachas on Pesach, you have to get ready. Pesach is a whole krach in Mishnah Berurah. It's like a sixth of the whole Mishnah Berurah is basically Pesach. There's so much to do for Pesach. That's why you need a whole month of mamish getting ready for Pesach. So, the beginning of the Seder, Leila Seder, we begin with the song. You guys know the song? Kadesh Urchatz Karpas Yachatz Magir Rochzo Moitzi Matzo Maror Koiresh Urchan Orech Tzachon Dareh Halel Miratzon. That's how the whole, I just got goosebumps right now. I haven't sung that song for the whole year. Mom is getting excited now for Leila Seder. That's the song that Jews have been singing for thousands of years, mamish. That's called the Simanim. That's the way we begin the Seder. I want to just ask a question, and then I'm going to tell you a story. And then maybe at the end we'll understand. You know, everything that a Yid does has deep meaning. I want to darshan up the niggin of that song. You notice that there's two parts that we go high in the song. You know, Jews sing a certain song, it means something. What word do we go high? Di da da da. You know, when you go da 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 da, that's a sign that there's something di da. That's something good in the song. When a song goes to a high note, it's a language. It's a language. You know, the ta'amim, the timing of the Sefer Torah, the notes, the song of it, the cantillation says it comes from the highest worlds. The highest worlds is the song. It's so high you can't even write it in the Sefer Torah. It's very, very high stuff. The cantillation, the timing is very. So the way you sing something is teaching you very lofty ideas. Just remember that when you learn Arizal a little bit, you realize that the tamim is very high. Okay, it's high stuff. So why here, when we're singing the song, anybody know which of the 15 things we go high for?
Maror.
Interesting. Maror? The bitter thing? I would have thought that it's God, Kadesh. The first thing is holy. That's high. No, it's Kadesh, Ochatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rochza, Moitzi, Matzah. Bitterness. We were enslaved. You know what Maror means? We mamish. It was so bitter. Building bricks. Our life was bitter. Pharaoh's mamish. You know what kind of work we had to do? It was 1,000,000 times worse than Auschwitz. 1,000,000 times worse than Auschwitz. We can't understand what Mitzrayim was. Insane. Insane. And you know what else we say loud? Safun. Hidden. Broken, hidden matzah. Safun is the afikoyim. Safun literally means hidden. Bitterness. God, you're hiding from me. Those are the things that we go high in the song. So I'm asking, I want to darshan the song a little bit. So let me tell you a story from Rebbe Nachman. Don't ever forget this story for your whole life. Mamish. So Rebbe Nachman says a story. You can see it in the stories. Arya Kaplan brings it in the Rebbe Nachman stories. That there was a Yid, and there was also a certain Gentile. And they were both poor, very poor, very poor. Hashem Yirachem, Hashem, all the poor people should become mamish, rich and use it in the right way. Bezrat Hashem, amen. But at this time in their life, they were still very poor. And you know, it's the way of poor people that they go and they try to find meals wherever they can to get a little bit of food here. And they always know what shul to go to when they're going to have a tikkun, when someone's making an Aliyus Neshamas, they put out a few little cakes. Today in my minyan, someone put out some they don't have rugelach, everyone has leftover mishlach manos. So a bunch of hummitashins, half bottles of liquor, for the oilam to make a bracha in the honor of the elevation of the neshama, of the soul of that person. It's a big thing for Jews to get together and make brachas, eat some food together, make some shahakals, some zaynases. So people who are poor always know, which minyan has the little stuff. They always know where to go. But the poor are very excited for one night out of the year. Leila Seder. The night of Passover, because they know they're going to get a good meal. And when you say anybody who's hungry, come and eat. Whoever doesn't have a Seder, come. Have the Passover Seder with us. Kol dichvin yeseh v'yechol. Kol ditzrich yeseh v'yifsach. Come. You're hungry, you need a Passover Seder, come to my house. And so these two poor people, it was in Northern Europe, and they were excited and they got together and said, oh, you got invited somebody? Yeah, I got invited. Oh, you got it? Okay, Baruch Hashem. And even though one was not Jewish, they they helped each other out and they found a meal and they went off to their meal. And the Yid went to his meal. Baruch Hashem, Kadesh, Urchatz, Kadesh, made Kiddush, Urchatz, washed. And there's a lot of talking. Karpas. Okay. Yachatz to break the matzah. Magid. Oh, okay, it's going to take a while now. You know, Magid can go on telling the story. So the Yid knew, Baruch Hashem, it's going to take some time, but it's going to be good. This other person, he went to his meal, and anyways, it starts late, the meal, because there's halal, and it's just going on. It's going on. Kadesh, okay, at least, you get a little bit of, he had a cup of wine, okay, fine. He's already a little bit, okay, but he's hungry. And then, Urchatz, and they're talking in between stuff, and it's like, where's the meal? I heard this is like the big night. I heard this is the night where I'm going to get a big thing. Finally, okay, we're going to eat something now. Wash a piece of celery, but don't eat a shear. Have less than a kazayas. And even if you have a little bit of celery and a potato, don't have a shear combined. Have, less than a puchas kashir, because you don't want to get into a problem making after bracha afterwards. It's a whole shaila. And he's so hungry. You gave me a little bit of, in my house we have a little bit of potato, a little bit of celery, or parsley, whatever your minhag is, or radish, an onion. I said, hungry now. Yachat, they bring out the matzah, they just crush it, and then they hide it. I thought we were going to eat something already. No, Magid. They fill up the cup. Don't drink it though. And the Magid's going on, and everyone's very happy. It's like, I came for a meal. I really came for a meal. And the Magid goes on and on and on. Now rachza. Now we're going to wash. Oh. And moitzi. You're going to have just some matzah. But don't dip it in anything, just a matzah. He's like, okay. So finally the meal. I waited the whole year. I knew I was going to get a big meal tonight. And then what do they bring out? Some maror. The big meal is everybody take a bunch of horseradish or some lettuce. And he's getting ready to eat this maror. He's waiting the whole night for his meal. And this is the meal. Look, we started the meal. We had our matzah. First course. He didn't know it was the first course. Maror. A hefty, and there you got to eat a shear. A hefty serving of bitterness. A hefty serving of bitterness. And this man just says, I'm out of here. These Jews are crazy. He runs out. He goes back to where they would hang out under the bridge. Many hours later, in the wee hours of the morning, as the sun is starting to rise, his friend comes back and he says, how was your meal? I said, my meal was horrible. I waited hours and hours and hours, and at the end of the night, you know what they served me? A bunch of horseradish. My sinuses cleared up, thank the good Lord, but steam was coming out of every single orifice. It was horrible. And the Yid says to him, you fool! You fool! You don't understand. You should have waited one more second. They were going to bring out the Shulchan Aruch. In one more second, you were going to have all of the delicacies. You left when it was Maror. When things got difficult, you booked it. You left. You gave up on God. And Rebbe Nachman says, this is what it means to be a Yid. To really be part of Klal Yisrael. Which means Hashem sends a lot of maror right before the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is the meal of Mashiach. Right before you have the festive meal of the Messiah, you're going to have a lot of bitterness. And if you book it, and you run away when it gets tough, when it gets bitter, you're going to die, God forbid, in Mitzrayim. Just like all those that said, we don't want to leave, it's too bitter. Better just stay here. The bitterness at that moment of bitterness It means if I just hold on for one more second, there's already going to be the Geula. It's the sign that the Geula is coming. It's a sign that it's already happening. It's a sign. You know, the Rambam says something very interesting. That when a person is healthy, he tastes healthy foods and they taste sweet. But when he's unhealthy, healthy foods taste bitter and bitter foods taste sweet. So I always thought about this Rambam. It's a very interesting Rambam because I always darshan it. I one time gave somebody some pure synergy. You know what that is? It's the most green thing you could imagine. One of the Talmud one time called it swamp thing. So we're going to stick with that. Swamp thing. It's basically, you know, like 90 green things in a cup. And you just take it back. And one time one of these people had a cup of it and he spat it out. He says, the worst thing, I don't even think you should make a bracha on this. But you should know, this person lives on Coca-Cola. So for him, something so good tasted so bitter. But I'm telling you, my friends, when your taste buds become sensitized and you have pure synergy, or romaine lettuce for that matter, it's sweet. Romaine lettuce is actually sweet. If you have healthy taste buds, you actually can taste that it's sweet. And romaine lettuce is the maror that all opinions agree you could be yotzi with. So is it maror? If you chew it deeply, if you really get into the maror, you realize that it's not bitter at all. Hashem is hiding in the bitterness a light that is so exalted, it's so great. Such a big light. And this is what it means, that in the plagues of coming out of Egypt, the 10 plagues, so we know the 9th plague was what? It was darkness. But what does it say in the Zohar? The plague wasn't like it says in the children's books that it was black. The plague was, there was so much light that they became blinded. It wasn't dark, it was ribui or. There was so much light that it was dark to the people who couldn't handle the light. But those that were ready for that light, those that were ready for that light said, give me the light, I want the light. That's the Maror. If you don't understand the Maror and you're rejecting it, it's bitter. You open yourself up, Hashem, you're in everything. That's what we're learning from Purim. There's nothing but you, Hashem. Even the Maror is sweet. You're hiding in the Maror, and if I could go through the Maror, in the Maror, it's already Kairech, Shulchan Airech. There's already the Messiah, Dika, Korban Pesach, Dika, Beis HaMikdash, Dika in Yonim. And that's Dafka while we go, Maraka, and we go high. The whole secret of Pesach is that when you think it's bitter, there's a secret. This is all coming from Purim. The Baruch Haman, that in those moments there's a secret, holding on and seeing Hashem in the tzafon, in the afikoyim, the hiddenness. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was there. The Yiddish, the mamish, hold on tight. We're at the end, my friends. Now the world, the Mariris of the world. You just the flip Mar, right? Mar comes from Mar. Flip Mar, it's Ram, it's exaltedness. And Ram is the gematria of Amalek. It's all Amalek. He says, it's Mar. It's Mar. No. Flip him around. It's Ram. It's exalted. We should be Zaycha Mamish to going high on the Mar. We never wish that for anybody. But we're saying now, go into the difficulties of your life and you'll find Hashem in the greatest way. And one more second, hold on in those moments of difficulty, you will see the grand festive meal in the Shir Tzidkim B'mihir of Yamin, which should be Zaycha. Amen. Call to Rabbi Isai.